So to be able to find a coding guide, obviously we would go into Taylor University Intercultural Study, and then if you scroll down, you're going to be looking for a file that says interviews. And if you see here, it says it includes transcriptions, codings, quotes, etc. So this is the word that we're looking for. So we're going to go into this folder, and what you're going to find is one that says coding. So this says includes electronic coding guides. So this is the folder that you're going to want to enter next. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to print out an electronic coding guide. So this is the template that you are going to fill out. Once you have printed your interview coding guide, you're going to fill out all of this initial information and then take time to read through this section. It gives you some different tips on how to do coding properly and how to distinguish between different areas. And the things that you're going to want to pay attention to are this section. This is where you're going to write down quotes, about 2 minimum per interview from each interview. So what you would do is you have a minutes and a seconds section here. So this is the time during the interview that happened. So maybe you hear a quote and you pause the interview and then you write down, this happened 5 minutes in and 30 seconds. Then you would say, okay, this is what it is most connected to. So you pick the section of the interview that it connects to. That's what you would write in here, and then you would write down the quote there, and you write it down as accurately as you can to what they said. So you might have to listen to it 1 or 2 or 3 times just to get that quote down accurately. And this is where you can write general comments after you've listened through the area. So whether you thought that they had a lot of growth, or whether you have suggestions for an interviewer if you were listening to someone else being the interviewer. So that's just a comment section here down at the bottom. So for the process of interview coding, you would listen through this entire interview, and you'd be paying attention to all of these different areas. So what you're going to do is, I would recommend, especially if this is the first time coding, to take some time and just look through these different sections and what is underneath them, so that way you have an overall understanding of what you're looking for. So the nice thing is that this follows the same structure as the interview that you gave. So the questions that you ask are hopefully going to prompt these topics in the same order, but every once in a while you might hear someone say something. Like let's say I'm towards the end of the interview, I just asked them a question, did your behavior change? And you're marking and you're going, and you hear them say a tangent or go off topic that connected with something under another section. You might want to pause the interview and then switch and find under another section what you're looking for. So what this is doing is it's taking these different areas of knowledge and awareness and attitudes and the different constructs that we're looking at, it's breaking it down, and then you are going to mark which of these different points you heard people say. So for instance, I just asked them a question about knowledge, and this section says cultural differences. So they talk about the fact that they were able to experience different ways of playing soccer or watching soccer games, and they mentioned that shopping was really different, and so I'm going to mark that. Some people mentioned that modesty was a really different value that they learned about, and then they learned about divorce in that culture being something that is not talked about. So they're talking about what they learned, and you're marking it as you go. If they don't cover any of these sections, that's fine. You don't have to have marks on every one. That's not the goal. It's just marking down what they did specifically talk about. And so in awareness, you're going to go through that same thing. And so which of these different points did they touch on? If there's one that doesn't fit a category perfectly, that's okay. You could even mark the thing that's closest to it, and you can make a note if you want to. So that's something that will be helpful as you go along. So that's something that you're going to go through for this entire interview. Sometimes you're going to have to stop the interview just to mark or to take notes or to think back. Maybe listen through things again if you need to. You're trying to do the most thorough job you can, but this doesn't have to be perfect. You're just trying to get the best overview and really accurately display what they learned and grew in. And once you're done coding your interview, make sure to put it in a file folder, just like you should with any data, and put it in the data room. Thank you.